building, like not like a workout specific section, but like with basketball courts or racquetball courts, or you know, not that they have those things, but that sort of type of building. You know what I'm talking about? And he points out to you, hey, this is where it's going on, this is what's up. And he shows you, this back room where after, there's quite a few different spots in this building where people are voting. After they put their votes, they go into, essentially like I would call like a mail drop-off box. And then once the boxes get full and the boxes come into here to be locked, he said the instructions, what they were going to do with accounting, so they're just storing them all here until after they've been told otherwise. You do notice that among the group of people that there's a higher concentration of aristocrats than you had seen in the last polling station. And some of them file in with the regular people. Others complain to the quote unquote guards that they should be given preferential treatment. But there's no real, it's more of just a shock that for once in their life they all are on the same playing field. It's not they're being excessively disruptive or anything like that, right? He takes you guys back to the back room where all the ballots are stored. You see all the lock boxes have this large lock on the boxes that'll have some spell work on it. But overall, everything seems to be in fairly working order. Do you have any questions? Anything you want to check out here? Oh, fuck. I can't hear anything. Fuck. Hello?
Hi, Dale.
Here,
Welcome back.
You guys could not hear me, could you?
No.
Nope.
You cut out.
Motherfuck. Because I said a bunch of fucking shit. And then
We tried to
Did
tell
you?
you.
Well, and then I looked at the thing because I only have one screen that I'm looking at, and then so I flipped over to Discord when it got quiet, and I was like, what the fuck is going on here? They're never this quiet.
Yeah, you just went
Just
quiet completely.
captivated.
So where did I end up at? Where did you guys hear me cut off at?
Mail slots?
So the process is that there are these boxes that kind of look like mail deposit slots, and they put the ballots in, and when the ballots get all the way full, then they take the full box to this back storeroom. They hadn't really been told what they're doing with the counting afterwards, so they're just storing it here in this locked room until they've been told otherwise, right? And then so they show you to this room where the ballots have been stored that have been cast so far. You see a decent amount of boxes, and they all have this large lock on the front of them, like a padlock. It's got some rune work inscribed into it. But overall, everything seems to be pretty much on the level.
Next.
Skipping over to Aelin and Alistair's group. So as they move from essentially here to here, kind of the area behind your old base.
Oh.
The
Ooh.
the bartender for Yellowbeard
Mhm.
has used. Hello, can you hear me?
Yep.
Hello.
I hear ya.
Hi.
I heard some noises and I was like, oh shit, am I cutting out again?
No.
So as you guys move, as Alien Alistair's group moves, they've used your old establishment building as like a ballot casting center, polling place, and Alistair or Yellowbeard's bartender is sort of in charge of filing these ballots away, and he waves to you guys and says hello, and he says, "Hey, what's going on? Everything's fairly quiet here." He said, "We had a little dust up earlier this morning, but he's like, I haven't noticed anything since."
Oh, what was the dust up?
So a group of guys came in, bigger, I don't know, thug-looking guys, I guess I would say, without being too um, profile-y, I guess would be the word. And kind of started some ruckus, had some people, or were trying to push people out of line and file their ballots first. But I rounded up a couple good guys, and we had them cast their ballots, and then we promptly threw them out. We were like, no, I don't know what you guys are doing here, what you guys are trying to start, but get the fuck out.
Well, thank you. That sounds like a job well done. I don't suppose you would recognize them or have a description of them?
He says, well, they were both, I don't know, I would say either like elves or half elves or humans, both, 6 feet or taller, brawnier looking guys. They had like a dark cloak or something on. When they came in, they had been complaining about being thrown out from some other polling site, or there was some other problem. So I wanted to make sure it was important they cast their vote, but whatever kind of problems they brought from the last site, they were clearly trying to bring in here. So I was not having any of it.
Okay. Alistair, do you have anything to add?
And Alistair thinks for a second, and he draws he asks for a pen and paper, draws a real rough sketch, and he's shows it to the bartender and says, did they look kind of like this? And the bartender says, yeah, that looks fairly close. And he laughs and he says, Alistair draws like a 5-year-old. Alistair, rolls his eyes. Oh, sorry, 1 second.
Alistair gets a phone call asking him if his refrigerator's running.
So, Alistair, says to Aelin, he says, these are two of the guys with the kobolds that we brought to jail. You were a little out of it, so I don't know if you recognize them, but I do. I can tell you these guys were with that kobold that you and I just put in jail.
Uh-huh. That's good to know.
And the bartender waves you guys over and he says, this is the ballots we've collected so far. And he shows you, these lock boxes that are sealed. They have some work They have some work done on this padlock that's on the box themselves. And bartender says, I'll store him here until you guys have got a plan for what we're doing for counting. Yellowbeard wasn't 100% clear on it, so I just figured I'd keep and store him and wait, and then someone would give me the word otherwise.
Sounds good.
Do you guys move on?
Yeah.
Anything else you want to check out while you're here?
Did you see which direction the thugs went in once you had booted them?
He said, once they had left, he said one of the two went east, and the other one went north.
Okay. Two went east and one went north. Okay, thank you.
Onwards.
Yep.
So, checked 5 polling spots. Main group moves over to the northwest, right? On west, north, east, or we've been on east, northeast, north, yeah, northeast.
Wow.
I'm having to keep track
You,
here.
you sounded like you were having a stroke then. You just kept saying northeast, east, north, northeast over and over again. I thought your system had crashed for a minute.
Felt like it for a
It's really-
second.
Yeah.
So main group moves to northeast, and when you guys arrive, there's some sort of disturbance that's going on within the line. There's a large guy, trying to push his way and trying to cut in line, essentially. And as you guys approach, there are some city guards that are also going towards this group to see, what this disturbance is. You guys get there about the same time. And you have a couple orc families who this large either elf, half elf, humanoid or human large guy, dark clothes. He's trying to this orc woman and her family are saying that he's trying to cut them in line. He's like, I was here
Yeah.
first. They're fighting back. They're arguing back and forth.
Halbjorn's gonna yoink that dude.
And when Halbjorn does, he says, what are you doing? Like, am I not allowed to vote? Like getting a little agitated with you for sure.
You're allowed to vote. What you're not allowed to do is cut in line.
And he says, I was here first. This orc lady, she's the one who's trying to get up here and get in front of me.
How is that so? Then Halbjorn's going to ask the other people around this is true.
And most of the other people either reply that the disturbance just started, and this one of the townsfolk, one of the other normal townsfolk says that he said that part of this orc family must have been here for a while, because he points out one of these orc parents who's carrying a smaller child, and he says, this child's I've like, it's not a problem, I understand, childcare and all that. He's like, but this lady's child has been kind of crying, whimpering on and off, throughout as we've been moving in line. So it doesn't seem to me, like, it seems that they've been about the same distance away from me the whole time, and they still are.
What about the fine gentleman? Right? What about this gentleman? Has he been here?
And no one in the crowd can seem to can seem to pick out when, if this guy showed up. A lot of these are family groups who have all come together, and he says, they say that this odd guy is kind of the odd man out. Like normally he'd either be at the end of a family group or beginning, but somehow he's in the middle of it. Like it doesn't make sense to us.
See,
So what I'm getting from y'all is that this fella right here is lying through his teeth.
And the townspeople say, like maybe, probably, like, and then a couple of the townsfolk mention, they don't know, it's a bigger town, so it's quite possible they haven't seen this guy in this area before. But generally, people have gone to the polling areas that are closer to their locale, right? And they haven't seen this guy in the area before, so they're not sure if he's
Well-
a recent mover or what's going on here.
Listen, the question we're asking is this fella, and how everyone's going to heft him up, trying to cut in line?
Maybe, probably, the general consensus that you get. The people are less. I don't want to, and they're less focused on other parts, until there's this disturbance.
Okay, well, thank you for your help. Let's go have a chat with this fella.
So when you guys return to the guy, he says, what's the problem? And we're going to be able to vote or not? Like, what's the holdup here?
Sorry, I'd like to point out that Halbjorn had the guy with him the whole time.
Oh,
Just like
okay.
one-handed dragging him along.
So then after you guys have dragged away from the crowd, he, asks this question. Because
You
I
will be
assume you
allowed
guys
to
don't
vote.
interrogate him right in front of the crowd for, what it looks like, right?
Sounds about right. I mean, you're allowed to vote, same as any citizen of Mech. But you're not allowed to bully and push your way to the front of the line.
He says, fine, whatever, like, and I'll go, behind this orc family and,
No. You'll go to the back of the line for causing a disturbance.
and
do we recognize this guy, by the way? Or is this just some random sub?
So he looks like, he looks similar in description and like clothing to some of the other guys who were the guards with the kobold, but he's not one of them specifically. Like he looks similar. He has similar garb. He's dressed the same, but he's you don't recognize him from your first initial problem.
But
It's
It could be.
been about half an hour, 45 minutes since the two groups have touched base. Just
Okay, so-
answering Lene.
I say, hey, mister, what do you do?
He says, I'm I'm a construction worker, like a hired contract. They help, I got hired to build buildings, move boxes, heavy lifting, that sort of thing. He
Hmm.
says, why does it matter?
Let's just say we've seen some things, and yeah. So, what about today? What are you doing for work right now?
He says, well, given the, given the election, I, as I told my contractors, holder of the contracts that I work for, whatever word that would be.
Employer?
Employer. There we go. That I wasn't gonna work today. That I was gonna just go to the polls and then wait for the results.
See.
Who is your employer?
He says, "Well, I have a couple different job sites that I'm working on right now. So you'd have to be more specific, And he names off, a number of different merchants and a number of different merchants. He names off. None of them, like ring a bell per se.
I'll just be blunt. If we catch you causing any more problems, I'm gonna yeet you off a fucking building.
And why don't you roll intimidation or persuasion, whichever you prefer. I just want to see and give you a more accurate answer to his reaction.
Should I turn into a bear first? I feel like I should turn into a bear first.
Oh, if you want to turn into a bear first, by all means, and then roll advantage.
Yeah, I'm gonna turn into a bear and roll intimidation at advantage.
Okay.
16.
What was your first one?
The first one. I didn't realize it rolled twice. Sorry, so 22 then.
Yeah. So the guy's like, shocked, and he's like, "Okay, no more problems for me. Like, I'm good. Please don't eat me. I'm not. Nope."
And then I'm gonna stop being a bear, and I'm gonna pick some like crumbs out of my beard and eat them.
His response sounded an awful lot like, they don't pay me enough for this shit.
Right.
As somebody who's not there to hear it.
So then the city guards, tell you guys, since you're here, would you mind checking everything around? He's like, there have been a couple odd, like disturbances like this around the, like I wouldn't say in the area, but in the recent couple of minutes, not minutes, in the recent couple of hours. Because at this point we're probably looking at, early afternoon. I would say between noon and 1, timeline wise. He says, so since things opened up at about 6, there have been 3 or 4 of these occurrences. If you want to check around, like, by all means, we've been doing our best to, keep the order and keep things moving. He says, and we haven't had any major dust ups or whatever, but there have been a couple odds and ends disturbances like this.
Just tell us where to go.
And he shows you guys, this is one of the larger landowners, but still farmer on the class hierarchy line. Like one of his where he would keep his equipment. The equipment's been cleared out, put off to the side, and they've made it into a polling station. He brings you guys in. There's a lot of chitter chatter and excitement about the election and the prospects of the election, and there are a lot of commoners around. So there's definitely a sense that, like, hopefulness, I guess I would say, from the people in the area. And then the city officials take you back and show you the room where, shade to the room where the lock boxes are at. And city official opens the door, and he just says weird as he opens the door. And he shows you, and then shows you the boxes. He's got a little bit of a puzzled look on his face, but he says, here are the boxes. Here's what we have here stored.
What was weird?
He says, well, I could have swore that I locked this room. He's like, I should have been the last one in it. He's like, and we've been really good about locking this room up afterwards. He was like, but when I tried the door, it was, normally we try the door and then to double check, but when we tried this, when I walked in, I didn't have to use the key.
Who else has a key?
He says all the other city guards have, and he whistles and about 5 other guardmen come out and he says, everyone has a key here. And you notice 3 out of the 5, not including, 6 total, including this guy. 3 out of the 6 are Alistair's men. The other 3 are, regular city people who, fill in for the guard. And he says, these are all the guys that have the keys.
Okay.
So,
Hello?
Hello?
No?
hello.
Oh, sorry. Everything went quiet. Hello. uh,
So these are the guys who have the keys. What do you guys question them? Do you guys look them over? Like what's your purpose here?
We question them.
Let's question them.
So what do you question them? What do you ask them?
What's your name? Who's your daddy? Is he rich? Is he rich like me?
Who's your daddy and what does he do?
So like I
No,
said, oh sorry.
ask. I was going to say, ask them. Have their keys been another? Have they kept their keys on them? Well, first off, do they have their keys?
And they all pull out this from around their neck. There's a special key. And so they all pull from around their neck, and it's all on this lanyard that they've been wearing. And they all show you, we all have our keys.
Okay. Has
He
anyone been in here recently? Have any of you been in here
Oh.
recently?
Why don't we have them use the keys on the door first of all?
And they all use the keys. Everything's successful. No one has any problems using the keys. And they all mention off times when they would have been in the room last, and they're all earlier times than this first city official who took you to the room had been in there last.
Okay. Okay, next question. Have any of you have any of you at any point had your key go missing, misplaced it, or has it just been around your neck the entire time?
And they all say, that they've had their keys since the morning. There is one guy, one of Alistair's guys, and he says, early this morning, and he kind of, like looks down and kind of scuffs his feet. And he says, earlier this morning, I had to take my gear off to relieve myself in the restroom. And he said, so I would have taken my key off then, but he says, it was all in the stall in the enclosure with me, like it didn't leave my sight. He says that I recall at least.
Is this guy feeling shame because he poops?
He's feeling shamed
Or is it
because it was a sort of an emergency poop that he doesn't want to talk about.
Poop
I was gonna say,
shame.
is it because he has to get naked to poop?
Yeah, I'd shame him for that.
well, so he had the runs.
Yeah.
Oh, right.
He says this morning he felt, he woke up this morning and his stomach was a little upset. So
I woke up this morning. It's not the beginnings of a great blues song, is it?
he woke up this morning and his stomach was a little upset. So after he had taken his first box into the into the room. Then he quickly, after he locked the room, he went back and had to go to the bathroom. So he
Yeah.
said he was away for maybe 30, 45 minutes, with some bathroom difficulties.
That's the name of the Great Blue song. Difficulties.
Isn't it? Yeah. I got the bathroom difficulty blues.
Yeah, it's actually off BB King's last album.
I bet it is. The dysentery years.
I thought that was Elvis's last song altogether.
Oh God, yeah. King dies on the throne. What a cliche. Isn't it? Oh.
Otherwise, they've all had their keys.
Okay, so I guess now we search and look and see if anything's missed out of place here.
So everything in the room seems to be in order. It's kind of an odd arrangement of boxes. In the sense that normally you would fill up one spot and then go to another, fill up another spot, go to another, with these crates. But these have kind of all been layered, singly on the floor. And there's some that have a couple double stacks, but it's not like the first one has a double stack, the second one has a double stack. It's not that sort of thing. It's fairly, I wouldn't say random, but
Haphazard?
let's say that again.
Haphazard?
Yes, haphazard, exactly.
Does it look as if it's been intentionally placed to look haphazard?
Maybe not look like it's intentionally placed haphazard, but why don't you roll investigation? Anyone in that group who wants to roll it?
My investigation is shit.
So, Halbjorn, you do notice that that some of the boxes look like they have been, like someone has attempted to break into a couple of the ones that are singles, but not actually been able to break in.
Ugh.
Halbjorn shares this with the group. Dale?
Yeah,
Yeah.
you share that with the group. Then what do you guys do?
We line them up and we threaten them with a decimation.
You line up the
That's a
guards, or you
joke
line
for
up
legal reasons. Everybody, fuck it.
and so you line them up and threaten them with decimation, unless what?
Oh, there's a point?
Oh. We're gonna kill you guys. And what?
It doesn't matter. We're going to die.
Because I've decided to.
So I'm gonna ask everyone to go back over the stories about when they were here last, and I would to make an insight check for each of them to see if they're being truthful.
Okay, so let's make 6 insight checks.
Yep, 1 sec.
I will. Can we all make insights?
Oh my god, 18 insight checks. Yes. Whoever
Yeah.
wants to throw an insight check in there.
I'm going to enhance ability. Sorry, Halbjorn's going to enhance ability himself.
So I have an 11 and then a bunch that all the others are 16 plus.
Yeah.
Kind of good at this.
Ouch.
With advantage, you rolled worse than I did. Good job.
Yeah.
This is not your strong suit.
Sure isn't.
Here's mine. Don't feel bad.
So everyone's story seems to line up. Everyone seems to be truthful. With exception being the guy on the toilet, there seems to be maybe something that he's not hiding maliciously, but something that he's not elaborating on, maybe because he's embarrassed.
He pooped himself. That or he's the Phantom shitter. I don't know which, but
Spit it out, fella. We know you're not telling us something.
He says, okay. So when I went to the bathroom, then after I had my first round of
First
toilet
round.
problems,
That's how he's calling it.
then I sat there for a second. He says, and then I it felt like I had felt like I had more in me, and then there's like there's a block of time, maybe like 5-10 minutes that I don't exactly remember. Like I can't account for all my time that I was on the shitter. Essentially, is what he's saying.
That can happen sometimes when you're having difficulty.
ugh, I'm okay.
It's been proven that people who take massive shits like can pass out from it, and
Yeah.
old people are, from working with old people, you see some weird things happen.
It's very common for old people to have heart attacks when they're shitter because they stress their vagus nerves and basically they have a blockage that's not super bad, but it's enough, and then they strain themselves to poop and they have a heart attack in their vagus nerve.
No. Can I just ask you what time of day it is over wherever you are at the moment?
11:10 a.m. Eastern Standard
Right.
Time.
8:09.
This is real because it's the middle of the afternoon here and it's difficult. It's a difficult chat, this, but I couldn't have this conversation in such close proximity to breakfast. I've got to be honest. It made me feel a bit upset. You're obviously made of sturdier stuff than I am.
Here's the thing. I learned about this after my grandmother had a heart attack on the shitter in like 2002.
No!
Oh no.
Yeah, well, what can you do?
Mm,
Oh God.
Yeah.
Mm.
And I'm just gonna go back to sleep for another 5 hours after this, so.
Yeah. You sleep it off, the trauma.
Oh, that's nothing. Would you like to hear something absolutely disgusting?
I've
Not in
kind of a
particular,
feeling I've
but
not
lay it
got
on
much
us.
choice. Yeah.
Yes, tell us.
Lay it
I
on
have
us might not be the correct phrase there, but go on.
I have had to clean diarrhea out of a vagina. Talking about people dying
God.
on a hard, like on the toilet because they're shitting is not that bad.
Ugh. Ugh. I'm getting a bit.
Oh, it was everywhere. It was all over the bathroom. It was all over her, and I genuinely mean it was up in there.
Ugh.
Ugh.
I would have just rented the power washer and been done with it.
Yeah, unfortunately, old people's skin is super sensitive, and power washer is not great.
They knew what they were getting into.
Nah, she just couldn't control herself.
I knew when were getting into what when they got old. Oh, sure, we got there.
Getting old is not really a choice. I mean, you either die early or you get old.
Yeah, you got the choice. Just self-terminate.
Yeah.
Moving on. Does anyone here? Okay, so what are these like the door keys made out of?
They're made out of like a brass or a copper alloy.
All right. Who is anyone here proficient with metalworking?
Halbjorn is.
Can you look at the key and see if it's been like you can tell if it's been like duplicated or altered in any way?
it would be Halbjorn's pleasure.
Roll that check.
What check?
That's a good question.
Actually, he has Smith's tools as a thing that he could roll. Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so Albion, you look over the key and you see that there are there's slight clay-like residue on just barely, like if you wouldn't have been proficient in Smith tools, like you wouldn't have been able to tell. But there's a slight residue of clay in some of the ridges of the key.
The key has been duplicated. Someone took a clay mold of it. Probably knocked this fella out while he was on the shitter.
Honestly, it could very well be that they gave him something which gave him the shits and did this to him.
That's
Did you eat or drink anything unusual today? Did anything taste off to you?
He said, I mean, this morning I had some, grain products, He was like it tasted better than normal, I guess I would say, but nothing, nothing I haven't changed my diet or anything unusual with that recently.
Did anyone offer you food out of normal, like drink? Like, did anyone say, "Hey, you want a drink, officer?" Or, "Hey, you want some food, officer?" Any of that?
He said, no, not really. Like I said, there were some baked goods. There was a new
Baked
shop.
goods. Wait, hold. Okay, define baked. Tell me about the baked goods.
He's like, okay, so on my normal, I normally don't take this route over here because this isn't normally like my jurisdiction, quote unquote. And so I went by this little side store, this little side stand that had some muffins and rolls, and they smelled really good. So I bought them and ate them this morning. That was, I don't know, 2 or 3 hours before we opened up,
Mhm.
and that's really it. That's all I've ate today.
describe to us the person who sold you the goods.
I don't know, lady. She had kind of like a cloak on or something. I couldn't give you a good descriptor. She, by her voice and like her complexion, she seemed a little older. I don't know, old. It's not uncommon for elderly people to bake goods and sell them on these little carts. He's like, I can't recall exactly.
Uncommon for elderly people. I don't know.
Do they usually wear cloaks while they sell their baked goods?
It says, I mean, sometimes they wear a cloak or a shawl. He's like, but this lady had her hood up, so I don't know. I didn't think anything of it at the time.
That's okay, buddy. That's why we exist.
That wasn't super condescending.
Where
That's what
did you buy
needed.
these baked goods?
Say that again.
Where did you buy these baked goods?
He says, just down the street, to the east. I don't know, maybe half mile or so.
How about we vacate the premises? I will turn into a spider and just hang out here and wait for someone to come in. And then when someone comes in, I'll make a bunch of noise and let you all know that you should come in, and we will catch the person in the act.
Oh, good. Also, I didn't get to hear your clapback.
Who, me?
No, Harlan's clapback.
Oh,
I clap back? What?
Yeah, you said something that was funny, but I didn't get to hear it.
I honestly don't remember now.
I'm still
Oh,
laughing at.
that's the
I was
worst.
still laughing at Lene saying it. That's not super condescending. I actually muted myself because I was laughing too much.
I'm
Oh,
glad I could
dear.
bring you some joy.
Oh, it was so funny.
He's British, needs all the joy he can get.
Oh yeah. True.
So, Harlan, you're a spider and you're gonna stay in the storeroom. Is that correct?
Yep, and just wait for people to come in and see. Wait for someone who isn't one of these badge holders to walk in the room.
Okay. And everyone else leaves. Do you stay in the area, or do you go to the next site without him? So Samuel and Halbjorn.
It's up to you guys if you want to split the party. But I think that whatever it is, Aelin and Harlan are probably more than capable of handling it.
Yeah, anything that's not if it's not super scary, I can literally just like fucking do whatever. Like, I'm not scared of your average Joe schmuck, roid raging meathead. Like,
Yeah, he's got one word: vanish. In that case, Samuel, fearless leader, let's
Yes.
go.
Let's go.
Let's fucking go, dude.
So you guys move to the southern spot. Turning back to Aelin and Alistair, you guys reach the next polling site here in the. Let's see here. Southwest, south, or west, southwest, south.
Dale's crashed again.
I feel like it. So you moved on to the next polling site, and this is in the direction where one of those thug-looking guys at the last site had gone to. You go over to there, and there's not you go through. It's a normal routine. One of the guys shows you all the rooms. Everything looks in order. He says a guy did come running through the line, not that long ago, and he went farther on to the towards the southeastern polling site.
FK 1 second.
Oh, hey Dale. When
I see your
we're done with
message
the
now.
session,
Yeah.
I have a magic weapon I want you to have a look at.
Okay.
Nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy coming from you.
Okay, so you had someone run through, as in like just
And they went
appear and
no, like they were they were in line towards the back of the line, and then they suddenly left and bolted, towards towards the southeastern polling site.
huh? Okay.
But
Hey,
you guys check everything in here, and it seems to be in fairly good order.
and that's the only issue that you guys have had it so far? Is
He
that
said,
one guy?
"Yeah, he came by. I don't know, maybe half an hour ago."
Hmm.
I'm back. Sorry about that.
Okay.
So you guys head over to the next polling site. Is there anything specific you want to check out here?
Uh, no, it seems okay. No, we can just move on, but I have the feeling I should use my sending stones to talk to my party members and tell them the updates.
Okay. Do the party members respond?
I don't see why I wouldn't. We love Aelin.
I probably wouldn't, just because I'm sitting in here as a spider watching for people, so it seems prudent that I kind of be quiet.
So when Aelin gives you guys the updates about this disturbance and this guy who got thrown out and stuff like that, is there any way that you guys react? Do you guys just take in the information and tell her to move along the way? What do you guys do? Given her information.
You know, the guys in the cloaks that have already voted once in one location.
Yeah. I gotta be honest, I'm kind of drawing a blank on this one. Should we do something?
It's up to you guys.
Oh, I guess we could give her the description of the guy that was causing a ruckus at our secondary location.
And Aelin, you get this information. Do you and his description looks fairly well describes the description of the picture that Alistair drew.
Okay, so guys, it sounds like that guy in the last polling place has already voted. It seems like he is a problem.
Oh. Well, you know what? You know our policy on problems.
We never have the same one twice.
Yeah. I guess Halbjorn's gonna. Oh, we already sent that guy on his way, didn't we?
No, you sent him to the back of the line.
Send him to the back of the line.
Oh, we did. Okay, yeah. Let's go send him to the back of life.
Ooh.
That sounded better in my head, but I'm not taking it back.
Might get more information out of him alive.
Yeah, then we kill him.
Yeah.
Throw him in. Here's the thing: it's way more used. Hearts and minds, guys. Don't just kill him. Put him in jail and then hang him after a trial. The people will love us more.
Yeah, I know that's the right thing. Well, maybe not the right thing to do. The proper
It's
thing
totally
to
the
do.
right thing to do.
But killing him will be more fun.
Well,
It's been like a day in character. It's been like a day since we've killed something, right?
Those signs and say like it's been this many days since a workplace accident. You just have one of those for how long it's been since we've killed people, don't you?
No. Why would you say such a thing?
I feel like you have like 5 of them. There's one in every room of the tower, and you carry one on yourself.
I can neither confirm nor deny these allegations. Well, Halbjorn's gonna look to Samuel and say, "Well, I guess let's go do us an arresting
Okay.
or a murdering if he resists arrest. I'm not opposed."
Yeah. Well,
Sure.
yeah. But I'm opposed to using the word murdering. I mean, it doesn't mean that we'll, doesn't mean we'll do anything different than what you propose. But
Well, I mean, died resisting arrest is died resisting arrest.
yeah, okay. It probably abbreviates
resisting.
to murder in some way, doesn't it?
That sounds oddly familiar of American police brutality.
Yeah.
Listen, you got to take inspiration from the sources available to you. It's
Yeah.
not my fault. Mine are so shitty.
Kill first, ask questions later.
I wouldn't have had to
Never.
kill you if you hadn't been fighting back. What do you mean
Yeah.
fighting back? I only just asked what it was for.
Stop resisting.
My hands are in the air.
So,
So I know we can chop his head off and then say that we thought we were using a taser. That seems to be an adequate defense, doesn't it?
This guy was in fear for my life.
I'm sure I had it set to non-lethal damage.
Oh, whoops! One happened again.
So, Samuel, Halbjorn, why don't you guys roll perception?
Oh, woohoo! Oh, fuck.
Perception.
I'm gonna piss my ass off. Oh,
is
bollocks!
a wisdom thing.
Fucking hell!
So,
Fucking hell! That's potentially the only significant roll I'm gonna make this whole game, and I rolled a fucking 7.
Samuel, you kind of can't see as well from the ground, but Halbjorn, from your point of view, you can't
Are you?
find the
Hang on. Are
guy.
you? Hang on. Was that just a short slur then?
No, no.
You've been racist against my shortness there.
I hope
Sounded
so.
like it.
I hope so.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, carry on.
So Halbjorn, you don't. Neither of you guys see the guy that you'd put in the back of the line. He's not in line anymore, and the line hasn't moved far enough that he would have already voted.
Maybe he took our advice and fucked off. Well, tell you what. We'll, Halbjorn's gonna leave a description of the guy with the guards at the door and tell them not to let that individual in, to detain them upon sight. And if they resist, well,
You know what to do.
just make sure they can talk. We don't necessarily need them to be able to walk or use their arms.
Just their mouth.
Yeah.
So
Oh.
Oh.
Oh no. Not when you put it that way.
I was wondering if that was going to catch on. So Aelin and Alistair, when you make it to the next site, then there's some sort of commotion near the door, and one of the guards that had came with Alistair and helped detain this kobold and take him back to the jail is having a heated discussion with someone at the front. Taller, bigger guy. I think we've gone over the description well enough. Thug-looking fellow. Not Latin King style.
Wearing a cloak.
Yeah. And so Alistair approaches the man right away. And Alistair asks this guy, what's going on? What's the deal here? We're trying to keep order, and there's some sort of issue right here at the front. So let's nip this in the bud. What's going on? And the Alistair's man says, I swear that this is one of the guys who we had problems with the kobold. And this guy says, I don't know any kobold, I don't know what's going on. And so Alistair gives him a look over, and he, turns to Aelin and he says, what do you think? Does this look like one of the guys?
Oh,
Say what?
yes, he took him. And sir, you look like.
I'm sorry, Wally. You're not getting off the earth.
Hello.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
can hear
Okay.
Hello.
No, this definitely looks like one of the guys, and he looks like he's causing problems. So I think we can. I mean, take him to go hang out with this person that he doesn't know, or maybe in the next cell over.
you. And Alistair, calls a couple of his guys that are with you too, and he says, detain this man, and take a ballot with you. If this guy really didn't vote, we'll sort it out from the jail. But let's take him to the jails and let him know, like if everything's sorted out, we got a ballot right here for you. You can fill it out. We'll turn it into central polling station. It'll be counted fine. But right now, there are too many too many coincidences for you, and the guy resists a little bit, but they drag him along and take him to jail. Um, and the Alistair's guard, who had stayed at this polling site, says, we haven't had any problems all morning, so it's kind of weird, where into about 1:30, and this is the first problem we've had. Everything's ran smooth before here, so a little odd.
Odd that it's taken so long to happen, or that it's happened at all.
Odd that's happening at all. Everything's gone very smoothly here until this point. I relieved one of the other guards when I came over, and he said nothing had happened up to this point. Everything had ran really smoothly. But within the
Mm.
last, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes, this dust up suddenly happens.
Well, and at least we were here, so.
And Alistair asks, asks Aelin, would you like to come with me and we'll check out the polling site, make sure everything's secure here?
Yeah.
And Alistair's man takes you around, shows you everything, and everything's in really, really well working order, like a fine-tuned machine, I would say. The lines very small; they're getting people through quickly. Ballot boxes are locked away. Everything's very safe, secure, on the level.
It almost feels too clean and too smooth.
And Alistair, says, I can understand how you'd feel that way. He says, but, and he, points out all the guys who are running this polling station. He said, all of these men work for me. So that's why everything's in much better working order than some of these other sites that we've been to. He
Oh
says,
yeah,
so
no,
I'm
that's
not
fair.
concerned.
Okay.
He says, let's head up to the central, and hopefully the other team's back and we can meet up with them and compare notes, and then go over to the jail and see what's going on.
Yeah, that sounds like a good plan.
So, Harlan, at some point, during this time period, there's someone who tries to get into the room, but the key doesn't work. You can't. Who's ever on the other side of this door can't get the lock to Jimmy. Or can't get the lock to turn.
Okay.
You hear some cursing and some, like, come on, let's get like, why isn't this working? This sort of deal. Complains about like a cheap imitation and some other odds and ends comments, but no one enters the room besides the guard every 30 to 45 minutes or so that brings in another ballot box and has stacked, is continuing to stack the boxes much more correctly this time.
Okay, so with the dude who was, attempting to get in, what was his voice like? Did it sound familiar at all?
It didn't sound familiar. However, based on your your heritage and your your background, he has sort of like I would say you can tell that he is from some sort of dragon lineage. Not necessarily a dragonborn, but you got a whole host of different draconic-ish races. So could have been a dragonborn, could have been a kobold, could have been a couple other different ones that I'm sure I'm forgetting because there are a million races at this point.
That's racist.
It's hard to keep up after Fizbins with all the dragons.
You're trying to say they all look the same?
No, I'm
Yep.
not trying to say they all look the same. I'm just trying to say there are
Just
a lot
are
of
saying
different
it.
ones.
You just are saying.
Yeah.
You're not trying. You're just doing. Disgusting.
It's 2021. Oh my god.
True,
it's,
buddy.
2022, sir. I'm not sure what year you are from. But
Oh God, yeah.
Last year, apparently.
Yeah, 2021 is my safe space. 2022 is too spicy.
I don't know. I was excited. I got to go for my first hike of the year yesterday because it was like 72 and sunny. It was great. And then Ukraine invaded. I'm like, well, this must be my fault. Got invaded.
I don't want to even hear about nice and sunny. The temperature has not gotten above 15 in the last 4 days.
Should have thought about that before you stayed in Nebraska.
You're not wrong. I love the cold. Don't get me wrong. I just wish that it was cold and
Yeah.
snowy so that they would close things down.
I loved
That's
cold
fair.
and then I quit being fat and then I don't love the cold anymore. Holy cow.
I hate
I'm
cold.
still fat and I still hate the cold, so I'm happy on the coast.
Although I think it's easier to get warm if you're cold than it is to cool down if you're too hot. Like, having lived somewhere that's ridiculously hot, it's fucking really difficult to get cold. To get cool, I think. I don't know. I just don't like the wind. I wish the wind would just fuck off.
Oh,
I really do.
Hate the wind.
Like, it's just like when it gets to the point where you can't even open your car door without it being a battle. Like you think, oh, is my car door going to get to the destination before I even get in the car? Because it's that fucking windy, it might get ripped off. That I can't cope with that. If it's cold, I don't mind because I can put clothes on to combat it. But there's no I don't know. Just a fucking wind. It's horrible.
I've had a point where, like, even with clothes on, I'm still freezing sometimes, and I just can't get warm, and I hate it.
Have a bath.
You guys
That's
want
the
to
best.
know two
That's
funny
true.
facts about hot and cold?
2 not funny facts. I feel like this is going to be a joke now. Go on.
Well, so you know how there's absolute 0 degrees Kelvin?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's projected to be impossible to reach 0 degrees Kelvin.
Well, it should be, really. Is it minus 272 or minus 273? I can't remember.
yes.
On Celsius.
Well, they've gotten to like a millionth of a degree of
Yeah.
this absolute 0, but they just can't pin it down because of because quantum physics, when you start looking at the universe on the quantum level, things
Yeah.
get fucking weird.
Yeah.
On the opposite end of the spectrum, there's a limit to how hot things can be before the laws of physics literally stop working. And it's like some astronomically inconceivably high temperature. I forget what it is. Anyway, that's all I had to add.
All right.
Did you know that cold doesn't exist? It's just actually the absence of heat. Like, scientifically speaking, cold is not a thing.
Well,
That
yeah,
is
heat
correct.
is just energy, so cold is just less heat energy.
Yep.
So absolute 0 is no heat energy. The problem with absolute zero is you couldn't measure it anyway because you'd have to introduce something to try and measure it, and that thing to have any kind of reading would need some kind of energy involved in it. So it would instantly corrupt this fucking thing that you'd got no energy with. Do you see what I mean?
I do.
Yeah,
Like you
that's
couldn't
part of
if you had
why.
if you had a lick. Yeah. I mean, regardless of the actual science of whether or not you can get to absolute zero, even if you could, you couldn't measure it. Do you know what I mean? It just on a basic level,
Yeah.
you couldn't. There'd be no way of monitoring it. You couldn't. There'd be no way.
Well, to put it into layman's terms, which is the way I was able to understand it, is you can either nail down a particle's position or its energy potential. Not,
Yeah.
but you can't have both.
Yeah. Because that is going into quantum stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, and then that's when
fine.
everything's like, hey, fuck you. You don't understand shit, and you never will.
Yeah.
So after you guys after Samuel and Halbjorn alerted the guards, did you guys move on? Oh, and I'm sorry. I guess before that, given the information about the draconic race, Harlan, do you do anything with that information?
So what I would do is, I guess, while after hearing his voice, I would like sneak under. Since I'm a spider, I'm tiny. I'm assuming there's enough gap I could like sneak
yeah.
under the door and at least look.
He is a kobold, or a extremely short, long-nosed dragonborn, but probably the former.
Is he familiar to me?
He's not familiar to you, but you do notice some sort of tattoo work on his arm. You're very small, and even though he's small, he's still considerably larger than you. So
Right, so I'm gonna climb up him.
you've climbed on him.
And now I'm gonna shift out of being a spider.
Oh, so you tackle him down on the ground.
I'm
Your
imagining
size
it's more.
versus him.
I'm
Squish him.
imagining, yeah, I'm imagining it's more like not so much me tackling him as it's just all of a sudden there's just a massive weight pushing him down to the ground.
And he says, "Hey, get off me! What are you doing?"
So then I'm gonna snag the fake key from him.
And in the struggle, the key breaks. It's clearly made out of some very cheap clay.
Guards!
And some guards come rushing in and they say, what's going on, Harlan? What's the issue here?
I have found our perpetrator.
And the kobold says, "Oh, what do you mean perpetrator? Like what are you talking about here?"
Yeah, so he had the fake key. It broke in the scuffle, and then I'm gonna show them the pieces of it.
And the guards kind of look at you funny and they say, "What do you mean? He's one of the guards."
Yet he was using a fake key. I don't understand. Well, I have so many questions.
Well, and the guards say, "Well, there was 7 of us, the 6 normal, and then there was this kobold."
Where did the kobold? What?
He says,
Yeah.
They're
At the risk,
confused as well.
at the risk of sounding racist, but did you not question the fact that someone was a different race?
He said, no, and then they're all like sort of confused. They're like, "What? Wait, what? What's
When we
going on?"
called all the guards into the room, there was only the 6 of you.
And they're all starting to look like really puzzled, really confused. They're like, were there, and like a couple of them are like scratching their heads, like, "I have a headache thinking about it."
Huh.
They're very confused. They're like, "Were there 6?
I'm going to cast.
I
I'm
thought
going
there
to
were
cast
7."
detect. I'm going to cast detect magic.
So, what's range on detect magic?
Let me look, because I don't know off the top of my head. Self, up to 30 feet.
Okay. So, towards the edge of your range, there's like a glowing or the effect, that you detected the magic coming from this like picnic basket looking thing.
All right, so I'm going to cast a spell magic on said picnic basket thing.
And the magic goes away. But the guys are still very confused that like they can't remember exactly where if there were 6 or there were 7. Like
There were 6 of you. We had you. Okay, so first off, what's in the basket, guys? Do you know?
and they one of the guards brings it over and it's a basket of muffins.
That's what I thought. So these muffins were magically enchanted. This kobold here brought them to you somehow. I don't know if he convinced you or what that there were 7 of you. That he was one of you. He drugged our shitting friend over there with one of the apparently, and made him shit himself. Stole the key, made a copy of it, and then tried to get in here and rig the elections. The problem is he made a very crappy key. So this is our perpetrator.
They're like, well, we trust you. We just, we can't. We don't remember it being like that.
Luckily for you, I didn't eat any of these muffins. I do. There were only 6 of you when we had the interrogation a bit ago. This kobold wasn't there.
He said, if that's what you say, and a couple of them, say, well, we'll take him to the jail then. Yeah, and they're still very confused, scratching their heads. Why?
Okay. So here's the thing. I will take him to the jail because I don't think you guys are necessarily in a state to take him to the jail. I don't know what effect the magical food you ate has on you, but discard of those. Do not let anyone else eat them.
They say,
And,
okay, well, and one of them just takes a torch and like sets the basket on fire. Done.
A little aggressive, but I appreciate the bravado. Anyway, so yeah, I'm going to tie the kobold up. Turn into a bear and carry him in my mouth.
All right.
So you you carry him away, and Halbjorn and Samuel, you guys have headed towards the central place as well now, right?
That is correct.
So you all.
Yes.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
You guys all end up at the central polling location about the same place, and it's part of the Vanguard's building. They've separated the building, so there's there's this is a large building right here in the middle. It's got a section where there's a polling spot. It's got where all their business is at, their business documents, and then another section where the jail is. So at this point, the whole group has been reunited. And the first thing Alistair
I feel like
notices...
there's a song.
This is the end of the blue song.
Yeah.
It started with the toilet problem and moved on.
And now he's back with his baby because he's no longer stuck in the shitter. Is that where we're at?
Yeah. So the first thing that Alistair notices, he sees Halbjorn or Harlan coming in the back as a bear with this guy in his mouth, and Alistair says, what the heck? And he grabs the guy from your mouth, Harlan, and takes him, and he says, what's going on here?
So this fine gentleman here fed some guards some food that mind controlled them in some capacity, convinced them he was one of them, made a copy of one of their keys and was trying to break in and steal some ballots or alter some ballots at whatever precinct I was at. I literally sat in the room as a spider for several hours to catch him in the act. He broke his key in the process. The whole thing.
And Alistair says, so I'll take him to jail. You guys check out the polling place here on the other side. Like I'm sure it's secure. I'm sure it's on the level, but you guys check that. I'll take him to the jail with the other ones.
So we
And
go.
Harlan's gonna find the nearest. Harlan's gonna go to Halbjorn and ask him for some alcohol because his mouth tastes like kobold and he hates it.
Halbjorn has rum and also green alcohol.
He's just gonna take a sip of the rum and hand it back. He's like, okay.
So you guys go to the polling spot, and everything, Aylin's familiar with this seeing one run this efficiently, and the people move through this line at a quick pace. In fact, at this point in the day, there's not much of a line left. A couple stragglers coming in, but they're virtually done here at about 3 o'clock. Everything's on the level. They have the lock boxes put in one of the office spaces for the vanguards, locked with behind a magical door with the rest of their business documents.
Okay.
Ooh, magic door.
And the vanguards who are showing you around say, like, we're 100% secure. We haven't seen any problems all day. Besides the jailers, the jail has gotten noisier and noisier the more people you brought in.
Yeah, well.
I mean, you could gag them, I guess.
That's pretty easy with a kobold, but humans, I mean, the mouth's bigger. It's something quite large.
That just means you
Uh,
stuff it with more.
The door containing the votes.
Magical lock?
Please open it.
And one of the ones opens it up and shows you, and it's very tidy, very organized. They've got the votes separated to one spot, and they've got all the business documents set away from it. There's a clear break. It's even like marked off on the floor like a special spot for these. The lock boxes appear to be intact. No one's messed with them.
All right. Everyone's gonna thank him. Just doing our due diligence.
So, what do you guys do now? Checked all the polling sites.
Well, let's see. How many guys do we have down in the jail?
So there are 5 of the vanguards like guarding the jail, and you have the kobold, the one guy that Aelin caught, and then the second kobold that Harlan caught. Is that correct?
Yeah.
That sounds
So
good.
there's enough for we can each have one. Oh boy.
Let's talk about counting votes. Who can we trust to actually count them, or do we need to do it ourselves?
We should probably do it ourselves. Maybe have do it ourselves and then also have 4 other people help. So that way it's a 1-to-1 ratio of us.
Yeah.
And when I say people, I mean just like pick some fucking volunteers off the street that don't look sus. Let the common folk
Hmm.
feel like they have a say matters for once.
Yeah, and for the next election, we definitely need to set up some people to run it. If we need to set up a board of elections, we can't do this every friggin' election for the rest of time.
Yeah.
So, you guys, do you guys start getting a hold of the other polling sites to bring in their boxes? Where are we counting votes at?
Imagine we'll count them here. We'll do it as a group. We'll have guards on duty the entire time, and we'll just start counting. I mean, we've got to count hundreds of thousands of votes. So
Okay. So
That looks
Alistair gives
nice.
word to to some of his other members to start going and getting the collection boxes. And as you do that, he says, it's going to take a little bit to round up everything. He says, do you want to
build a snowman.
no. Do you want to interrogate these prisoners while, for now?
Oh, yes.
Calm down, there, killer.
He prefers the term murderer. Did you not hear earlier?
Just sitting there with a fucking throbbing fucking murder boner. I mean, it's just not time for that.
I crave release. That's the murder boner talking, not Halbjorn.
If Dick talks, that's impressive.
Yeah, two heads, you know.
Sounds like a Pam and Tommy situation. If you guys haven't seen that show, there is a point where Tommy Lee is so high on ecstasy that his dick talks to him.
Or my wife and I had been watching Kevin Can Fuck Himself. That show is ridiculous.
Keep me to watch that.
It's good. It's really bizarre. It's really
Well,
out there.
when you mentioned it last week, I put it on my list to watch, and I've meant to start watching it all week and not got round to it because I'm halfway through watching. I've gone and got myself halfway through a series and realised halfway through it's just bollocks, but I'm too invested now. So,
What is it?
well, it's called Traces, and it's set in Scotland. It's like a police procedural, really. And I thought it'd be okay, right? And it is okay. There's two distracting things in it. The first one is that almost all of it has been shot in my hometown of Bolton, right? But they're saying it's Dundee, which is a place in Scotland, so it's really fucking messing with my head. And secondly, the lead actress in it, I thought she was like playing it all moody, like this girl who's lost her mother and they're trying to investigate the crime. And then I realised she's not playing it all moody; she's just shit. She's like she's just one of those. You get sometimes an actor who all they can do is move their eyebrows into different positions. Like up is surprise, middle is like anything where it's no thing, and then they've got like the down position, and then that's like that slightly angry. That's all she can do. So anyway, so yeah, I've got myself stuck in that, but now, I feel like I have to see it to the end now. Sorry, didn't realize I was so upset about it. I've gone on a bit of a rant there. Sorry.
Okay, it's okay.
So you guys go to the jail, and the three people are clamoring. They're saying, "What's going on here? Like, why are we being detained?"
Okay, shut up. You don't have any work rights here. You're in jail. Be quiet.
And the kobold that was in your mouth quickly, like he quiets down instantly as soon as you start talking. And the other two are a little slower to do it, but they finally, after a couple minutes, then they quiet down as well. And the first kobold, the merchant, we'll say merchant and thief kobold. So the merchant kobold says, like, how long, just ask, how long are you going to hold us here?
Until your trial, which will be in a few days, and I'm sure the townspeople will be really happy to know how all the meddling and messing with their free and fair elections you guys were doing. I'm sure they'll be thrilled. So I think for now, at least, I'd be excited that you're in this jail cell and not at the gallows.
And the thief kobold says, but I didn't do anything wrong. I was one of the guards.
You
guys
were
just
not.
took one
You
of the
were not.
guards.
You were not one of the guards. Don't even. You know what I can do.
Don't even sound like his parents. Don't even.
Do you guys have any questions for them?
Yeah, who do you work for? We all know you're employed. So let's lie. Okay, let's skip the fake questions. How much did Shaw pay you to do this?
And the room goes quiet, and then the merchant kobold says, who's Shaw?
We know. Okay, first off, we know who you work for. So stop playing dumb. Um,
Halbjorn's going to reach to the bars and grab grab one of the merchant kobolds' hands just around the wrist,
Okay.
and then pull his wrist through the bars,
Okay.
like until the kobold's like right up against the fucking bars.
He is, and he says, ow, that hurts. That hurts. What are you doing to me?
And Halbjorn's
Police
going
brutality.
to take his index finger and
Ooh.
start bending it back. He's not gonna break it. He's just gonna bend it back until it starts getting really uncomfortable.
He says, what are you doing? What do you want from me?
I want you to answer. I want you to answer his questions.
And he says, like, there wasn't a Shaw who paid us. We were paid anonymously by some group or some benefactor in Summertide. Like, let go of me.
that would be Shaw. Okay.
Mm.
Fun. I wish I played the kazoo, but anyway. Cringe. All right. How did they pay you?
And the kobold merchant says, in gold.
That's not what I mean. Did someone show up and hand it to you? Was it dropped at an anonymous location? In what manner was the money delivered to you?
He says that, like, I got a box that said, like, to cause disruption and cause problems today, and that, and then underneath there was a large sum of money. So I took the money and did what was asked. And he, like, pulls on his wrist, and he says, "Can I have my wrist back now?"
All right. Is the same.
Halbjorn's going to bend the finger back just a little bit more.
Stop.
What about the rest of you idiots? Did you have the same experience?
And the merchant speaks, and he says, I paid them all. They all got part of my payment.
See. How much did you pay these fine fellows? We're actually, first question. How much did he pay you?
He says, I don't know, 1,000, 2,000 gold pieces.
How much did you pay these dudes?
Says I paid them each, and some others a couple hundred apiece.
Ask the other guys if they if that's true, if that's how much he actually paid them.
And the thief kobold like nods his head real quick. He's like, "Yep, that's what happened." And the other one, and the bigger, brawnier guy says, like, rolls his eyes. He was like, "Yeah, that's what he paid us."
I'm gonna insight check that.
Would also like to do the insight check.
Insight away. Oh shit!
And if they're lying, how everyone's gonna break a finger?
No, I've got a bigger plan here. I'm actually trying to turn them against each other. So
Oh, okay. I'll take it back then.
23 and yeah.
So, Aelin and Harlan, you both notice that that he's correct. He's being truthful in the amount that he was paid, but there is something that he's not saying.
Why are you rolling your eyes?
He says, like, this is all. He just rolls his eyes and he says, "This is all foolish anyway."
I
Elaborate.
couldn't agree more. Please elaborate. Yeah.
He says, "We've already done what we were paid to do." He's like, "There's like, our work is done. There's no like, this is a pointless line of questioning. Like, let's just get to leaving us to rot here and then get on to our trial and so forth." He was like, I have no interest in these questions."
And luckily for you, luckily for I guess everyone here, you don't have a say in what you're interested in anymore. So yeah, and I kind of want to know more of what's going on.
That's what you asked the big guy?
I didn't ask him anything. I'm telling him this. I'm just saying, we don't really care what you want. You are irrelevant. Sorry, dude. What's the dinging? I'm going crazy.
Sorry, it's my work phone going off.
It's fine. I just wanted to
Same
make sure.
guy's getting the picture.
God.
So the bigger guy, like, rips a chunk of his shirt off, and you can see this large blue tattoo like crawling down his arm, essentially, right?
Mhm.
And he says, like, we'll do what always needs to be done. And he bites his finger enough that draws blood and like pushes it along, like lines it along this tattoo, and the tattoo starts to light up.
I'm gonna cast. I'm gonna counterspell. Oh, yeah. I'm gonna counterspell the magic from the tattoo.
Okay. So when you do, like, the tattoo turns from blue to like a dark black, and you see this like black, it goes, it starts like turning his skin that color as well.
I'm going to dispel magic the tattoo now.
This is less of a magical thing at this point.
Okay.
So you see very quickly, like, essentially
I'm
like,
gonna cast Greater Restoration.
ooh, there we go. So the necrosis on his arm, which is where I was going with it, has, like, stopped and gone.
Assuming this was supposed to be like his cyanide pill, essentially.
Essentially, yes.
You don't get to say when we're done.
Yeah, you belong to us now, buddy.
and he like glares at you and he says something to the effect of like beware the fist, and takes his own head and just hair carries himself.
All right, I'm gonna cast. Okay, I'm going to tie his hands behind his back and cast Revivify.
And hold on 1 second, because there is there's an important part that I want to make sure of.
I don't think Revivify requires him to be willing.
No. That's not what I'm.
Got it.
What the? Oh, my
What the fuck?
my spell list was still. I had it. I was looking at just warlock spells, and so then when I went to look up Revivify, clearly a warlock doesn't have Revivify.
Actually, Celestial Warlocks do, but
Right, but it's not.
it's not in their spellbook, right? Yeah.
Yeah, it's not in their normal spellbook.
If you're asking whether we have a diamond, I've had one for like forever and never had to use it.
No. So you revivify him, but his body remains limp. So, and what I'm pointing to here is, so the spell says it can't return life to a creature that has died of old age, or can it restore any missing
Hello?
body parts.
But
Hello?
he's not missing any body parts. He didn't like rip off a leg.
No, but he has
Hello?
completely. Hello? Can you not hear us, Pete?
Yeah, no, everything went quiet for a minute. I didn't know why.
Oh.
It's okay. I say a minute. I mean about 3 seconds.
So, and this isn't so this is the question of interpretation, right? When he snapped his neck, he shattered several vertebrae in his neck. Would they be repaired at this point, or would his head or would he be, like Christopher Reeves?
I mean, I assumed it's still intact, so I don't know.
Yeah, missing body part implies like it's been physically removed.
Physically removed? Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
Look, if I had to go to purgatory and sit in line and annoy his ass, I'll fucking do it.
He's
We
like, I'm
literally
talking
could.
to this guy. I don't care what magic I have to cast.
Exactly.
So he's tied up on the ground, hogtied.
Mm-hmm.
Hi.
And he just closes his eyes and looks away.
Aw, he's being bashful.
What a tired little coward. Aww.
You know, this would just be a lot easier if you would tell us what you want, what you know.
Also, you're paying for that diamond.
Hey,
You're
so
probably going to have
have
to
you
take it
heard
out
of
of his hide.
waterboarding?
Say that again.
Well, Halbjorn's gonna ask him if he's heard of waterboarding.
Yeah, and the the tied up brawny guy does not respond.
Oh.
I, of course, have
take
heard of
that as a
waterboarding
no.
as a patriotic American. Is the only way to get good information out of prisoners.
You know, because torture works.
Yeah, Halbjorn's fully cognizant that it doesn't. He's just,
He's just a
A
sociopath.
masochist?
yeah, he's just a
The d-
sociopath.
It's a sadist. Masochist is the one that enjoys being tortured.
Oh, well, I mean, in this case, he's both.
Well, yeah.
He doesn't enjoy being tortured. He just takes the L's that you guys don't have to.
With a raging erection.
Yeah, for how hard he's gonna kill the people that did it to him. It's like, yeah, I'm gonna give you twice as much as you gave me, you little bitch.
I'm sure this is the absolute definition of a sadomasochist.
Yeah, basically.
Absolute, isn't it? The living embodiment of that word. He managed to make it a class all of its own, to be perfectly honest. Fucking-
Well, Halbjorn's gonna leave to get a sack and a couple buckets of water.
So you're doing it just for the fun of it.
Hence the definition of sadist.
Yeah, that's true.
Do you guys wish to ask anyone else? What are we doing here? While Helbjorn's getting his waterboarding kit.
Fucking hell.
Well,
Taking a
does
page after
anybody else have
Pudge
anything?
Jr.
Gonna ask the room at large. Does anybody have anything else to add to this before we get really going with the nonsense that Halbjorn's got?
Yeah, let's not torture him. I mean, we could, but
Doesn't feel right, does it?
it doesn't.
He
What's the
kind of
point?
wants it.
Which is exactly why we shouldn't do it. Don't give him what he wants. I resurrected him because he wanted to be dead. Come on now.
Hey, when
That's
was
not
the
gonna
last
kill
time
him.
you guys ate anything?
The
Ate anything?
Yeah.
the
What do you mean?
the thief.
Are you-
Can you hear me?
In-game.
Sorry.
I hear you.
No, I know, but do you mean like Samuel Halbjorn and Harlan, or do you mean who do you mean?
Oh no, I mean the prisoners.
Oh, sorry, I was completely fucking confused. Sorry, I
The
misunderstood completely then.
so the the thief kobold has like a toothy grin as he says this. He says, "I had some muffins this morning."
Oh, thank you for that confession.
Is he taking the piss now?
Wow, you know, I'm kind of hungry myself. Kobold sounds kind of good.
Does, doesn't it? Roasted,
Yee.
seasoned.
Raw. I mean, it's way more fun if you eat them raw.
Yeah, but
I'm not
I
sure
like
about
my
this, but
meat cooked.
I'm pretty confident eating cobalts is worse than waterboarding cobalts.
Well,
But
you get dinner and a show.
Unless I'm calibrating it completely wrong, the scale of morality is just completely melted. These are our options. These are options that we see before us.
These
Cook
are
the
options that
kobold
we are pursuing.
and waterboard the kobold.
I'm just blustering. I'm not actually going to eat him. Well, maybe, but I mean, most likely, I'm not actually.
But we could ask. We could actually thinking about it. We could ask them. If we ask the kobold, do you think is it morally worse of us to waterboard you repeatedly, or cook you alive and eat you?
Yeah.
And the kobold replies and says, like morals are of no importance to us.
Okay.
We're
So we can
loyal
just do
fist
both then.
members.
That's right. They're fisties.
Fisters.
Yeah.
Fistus.
Okay. Well, I guess there's not a whole lot we can do right now at this moment. We could just let them sit here and stew for a while we go and take
stew
care
them
of some other.
stew them instead of roasting them. You mean?
Oh well, one of them will be roasted and the other one should be stewed.
Yeah.
I think we should
Okay.
get like a variety of meal options
Yeah.
going here. Really set up
Stew?
the feast. Would you not like stew?
Oh, Halbjorn declares that he loves stew as he walks in the room with 3 bags and 3 buckets of water.
Clearly,
And these are
Halbjorn's already
big
ready to eat.
buckets of water.
You don't need that much water to waterboard someone, dude. You need like a tablespoon.
Hmm.
Yeah, but it's more fun this way, more dramatic. They really go. Actually, I don't need to make the noises. Here, I'll just show you. And then he's gonna start putting a bag over the tied up
Oh,
guy's head.
I'll be
oh, come
orange.
on. Come on now.
I can't believe you just did a waterboarding impression.
I can.
Oh God! Do you know what that just reminded me of?
This video is gonna be
As
so blacklisted.
You've all seen the video about the Australian guy and that dog that attacked some local neighbour, didn't you? And
No.
oh, I'll fucking share it in chat after, because honest to God, it's the funniest thing in the world. Australian news clips are always bonkers because they're Australians, right?
Yeah.
And it's just this couple being interviewed, and then it's this like little kind of quiet woman saying like, "Oh yeah," and then the dog came running up the street, and then the guy starts to describe it and does an impression and nearly bites the fucking newsreader's head off. It's insane. Honestly, he just does this. He does this. It's terrifying. It's absolutely. It looks like he's going to turn into a monster. I'll share it after. Honestly, I'll find it and share it because it's just. But you've got to watch it. Anyway, carry on. Sorry.
Have you ever seen the old British television segment where the guy says no Asians, but he means no agents?
Oh, I can't remember. I might have seen it.
Oh my god. Okay, I'll find it later. Moving on.
Oh yeah.
So, what's the plan of attack? I don't know if I want to use that word. These guys.
These guys, these nuts. No, 12.
How everyone's gonna put an empty bucket underneath the other guy's head. The tied up.
Halbjorn. Knock it off.
It's that's enough, man. That's enough.
Alright,
We have
if I'm
better.
making you guys uncomfortable, I'll stop. But it is just a joke. I wasn't actually going towards them.
I'm not sure I believe you, but okay.
Insight check, anyone?
Hmm.
So, by about this time, one of Alistair's one of Alistair's men comes to jail and he says, "Alistair, we brought all the boxes. We're filing them in now. What would you like us to do with them?"
I don't know, Alistair. What would you like for them to do with the boxes?
And Alistair looks to the group and says, "What would you like to begin counting? Do you have more for these?" And he sighs and he says, "Prisoners."
Currently, I think we're going to let them stew for a bit, and I think we try to find some other people to help us count votes, and we move on.
Yeah, sounds good.
So, Alistair tells his guards to round up, just 4 average Joe or Janes out there on the street, to help out based on your earlier plans. And they start getting the boxes unloaded. There's easily, let's say each crate has 10,000 ballots. There's 500,000 in the city. Voting population is probably more like 350,000. So, got what? 35 boxes?
I mean, I'm assuming that everyone votes either, like, and going to be some people who don't have time, some people who don't care. So I would guess probably 32 boxes, 33 boxes, maybe less.
Okay.
I would say anywhere between like 25 and 32, somewhere in that range. Really just depends. How engaged do you think this populace is?
Well, given that this is the first time that these people have been able to vote, I would say much more engaged than, I don't know, for example, the United States population.
Sure.
I'd say probably you have about an 85 to 90% engagement. So I think 31 boxes is probably appropriate.
Got it.
So Alistair takes his sword out, calls the secret word, and starts on fire. And he cuts this first lock off. And when he does, the lock starts screaming and shocks the guards and the people a little bit. And he, motions. He's like, "This is just an alarm spell. Like, it's fine. It's okay. That's what it was supposed to do." And he starts breaking open the boxes, cutting off the locks. And each time there's a scream that comes out of it. And he says, guys, go ahead and start tabulating votes. That's what I assume you do.
Yep. Let's start counting.
It takes several hours into probably, would say somewhere in like by, I don't know, 10, 11 o'clock at night. You guys finally tabulate all the votes together. And the votes are very reflective of the polls coming into the election. So with and I would say the voting method was a crap. Why am I stuck on what that's called? Ranked vote system.
So what? Sorry.
Ranked choice.
Ranked choice. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So, this person got this many first, got this many seconds. All things.
Oh yeah. Always weird.
All that
Yeah.
sort of going on.
Yeah.
So your highest percentage of support goes to Yellowbeard. With the second going with this blacksmith, and we're gonna call him Gregory the blacksmith.
Gregory.
Third, we have the captain. Fourth, we have the crap, why am I having such problems with names for a second? Hold on. Pulling up a generator. Where? We have Gem. Oop, wrong sheet. Gem of the family. The Boar family.
Bore.
And I'm putting this all in the catch-all in the last on the last page where it says City Council. Boar like the animal.
BOAR. Okay.
And I'm just putting next to them, they are friendly or not. And then the last one is Theremin the Tenacious.
A musical instrument?
What?
Theremin. Oh, pheromones. Oh no, what they call those things? You mean those like they're like a wire that woo those things?
Yes, it's a theremin.
No,
Yeah.
like
Oh,
Fareman.
Oh, theremin, not theremin, which is okay. That makes more sense.
right. I thought it was someone who could play the Doctor Who theme tune as the party piece because that's got one of them in it, hasn't it? I'm pretty sure.
Where that document is.
It is the last document in future plans.
Oh, thank you.
Mm-hmm. I'm working, and I just got sidetracked. My son was sick all week. So I'm just I'm moving all these to one singular folder, and then I'm gonna move that folder to where like you can just go to the folder and look at the different files and whatnot. I was just in the middle of it, and like I said, my little one was sick all week. He also had the runs. Haha.
Yeah. Is that what inspired the
Kid.
bit about the runs?
Nope.
Do you think?
Definitely. I mean, maybe.
Oh.
Who knows? It's impromptu. It's improvisation. You never know what's gonna come out. Sort of like
I
the
hope it.
runs.
I was gonna say, I hope
That's
it.
what the yeah.
So these are your top 5. Pretty much exactly where we had planned. It was slightly odd that the that the noble who's opposed to you was in like did poll in 5th and barely like just by a couple hundred votes ended up under but I mean polls are not 100% accurate, so read into that or not read into that.
I'm sorry, where did you put that list? Because I can't find it.
So
in the journal.
In catch-all, in future plans, it's the last entry.
Oh.
If you go to catch-all, there's 4 tabs along the bottom. The last one is City Council.
Right, my fault.
Nope, you're fine. Like I said, it's a little disorganized at the moment, and I have been working on
it's
it.
not.
It's more organized than my work.
Control. City Council. Mhm. There we go. Gregory the Smith, the captain.
So
You are the
there's your
captain.
lineup of the council.
Okay.
So what do you guys do from here?
We go inform everyone who has won, and we go talk to and Co. Look, we inform the city and the people who are running that they won.
Okay.
Wait, who won?
Did she?
Yellowbeard, Gregory the Smith, the Captain, Gem of the Boar family, and Fairman the Tenacious Merchant.
Everyone we expected. Really, the loser here is the Spanish Inquisition.
So you go inform everyone. Is, again, remember, in Cherry Meadow.
The hop, skip, and a jump away anyway.
It's true. It is late at night as well. So do you inform people at this late hour or inform them in the morning, I guess is the question.
Morning. Let's let them know in the morning.
Yeah,
Most everybody is probably going to have to gone to bed and get prepared for the next day of work and so on and so forth.
Yep, that's fine.
So we go out, tell everyone. You guys use the portal, go over to Cherry Meadow. And sees you guys fairly early in the morning, and he says, hey, we're not too far into the docks. What's going on? We still have a couple days left of building.
We're here to let you know you won your election. We're here to let you know you won your election, sir.
He says, election? What election? He says, Erno put a name in basket.
Well, I thought we came and talked to him about this.
I don't know that you did, and I could be wrong, but he's
I think we
also...
I don't think we did.
We talked about talking to him. I think you're right. I think we never did.
We discussed talking to him, but didn't actually.
Surprise, you're a politician now.
He says, ooh, that lots of responsibility for her. We're not sure.
Pay's really good, and you don't necessarily... I mean, you have a lot of responsibility already, right? Running the company?
He says, yes, me run company.
The pay is good, and you did win the election. People do want you to lead.
And he, when you say that people want you to lead, he just starts bursting into tears. He says, no one recognized our leadership total time. Me so happy and surprised.
Big old blubbering, crying orcs.
He says, okay, me lead very well. Me make you proud.
Glad to hear that.
When you get back to the city, you know, do you guys say anything else to him? Check on anything else here?
Think we need to?
I don't know that we do.
So when you guys go back to Mech, you know, people are, you know, the general populace is not only happy with the results, but they're just happy that they got to participate in the event as a whole. And
Is there a time limit on this?
say that again.
Did we put like a term limit or like a time thing on this? I don't remember.
So we hadn't really got into the nuts and bolts of where, and I mean, we can retroactively do that. That's not a big deal. Something for you guys to decide time limit wise.
Do you mean how long? How long is a term of office? Is that what you mean?
Yes, I
Mhm.
believe so.
All right.
Yeah, like is this you've been elected, now you're going to do this position until you're dead, or is it going to be like no, you have to earn it, and every time.
Imagine
know-
it'd be you have to earn it kind of thing.
Hey, that's what I would aim for personally. Oh, sorry.
There's a large celebration going on at the Pirates Hook, and I assume you guys go there to obviously tell Yellowbeard the news. And
Yeah.
he welcomes you guys joyfully, and he says, did you guys hear? Like everything's, and the people are very happy. Everything, we're having a
Did hear.
celebration here.
We did hear. That's why we're here.
He says, well, I hope as your mayor, I hope as the mayor of the city, I do well for the people, and we move in the direction that the city needs to be moved.
Agrees. I also agree.
So, what do you guys do now? The election's done. There was clearly some interference attempted.
Oh, we need to set up the hearing for those folks who are in the jail cells and do some more interrogation. See if they maybe not right now. I mean, we don't have a ton of time left in the session. I feel like maybe we should just use this time to figure out what we want to do at the start of next session instead. I feel like that's probably a better use of our time than trying to do something right now. Because,
Yeah.
So what's the next thing on the docket? Like, what's our timetable?
Okay, so timetable wise, we have some contracts that are ending in 11 days. Then the mining venture ends in 10 days. And the docks will be done in 2. The meeting the slavers is in 3 days.
So we're probably need to get ready to meet the slavers. That's probably where we're at.
So
I concur. Sorry.
No, you're fine. Do we need to make preparations?
Well, actually, first question: after that dock is done? What are the dock workers? What's next on their docket?
Mm.
I think well, we still have to build docks in Lunastrella.
Just want to make sure we have plans for them, so they're not sitting around doing nothing while we're dealing with slavers.
Well, once the docks are built, then
Build the other
we
set of
just need
docks.
the boats,
Yep.
right?
Yellowbeard needs a navy if he's gonna be a privateer for us.
But I mean, just like even the boats for the trading. So once the docks are completed, we'll need the boats to get the trading lines open.
Yep. So we should start actually trying to acquire those like now.
Okay, so
So
do we build the boats ourselves? Not ourselves, but do we contract someone to build the boats for us? Do we go and just buy some boats? And ship them upstream? Well, what do we do here?
do we have access to a shipwright?
I was actually about to ask the same thing. So
A shipwright. That is a good. Okay, so is a capable boatsman, if that's where you want to go. Otherwise, finding a boating captain and leaving to dock captain is also possible, probable.
I think that's a better idea.
Yeah.
We would also need a dry dock to construct the ships if we're gonna do it ourselves.
Hmm.
Just my opinion, but I think it would be in our best interest to be able to create uh, boats instead of having to buy them off other people.
The only issue is how often are we going to need to build boats? We're going to need to actually. You know what we should do? We should find a shipwright to set up in town.
Yeah,
Because while we aren't going to need that many boats built ourselves, we'll need some and we'll need some work done. Having a person who can just build them for the city and can build them for us as necessary seems like a good thing. And with all the people traveling to and fro via the boats in the future, there should be plenty of work for them.
yeah, and that way we'll be self-sufficient in that regard, at least.
Yeah, so we should just find a shipwright who needs a place to be.
Okay, so where do we start looking for one? Who do we ask about this?
I don't know.
Maybe knows somebody. Maybe knows like a shipwright or something.
There's a good choice for a place to start.
Yeah.
So we go back to Cherry Meadow, ask her, now that you're working on these docks, we're gonna start securing boats? Is that what you tell
Yeah.
Yeah.
him? And you ask him, you know, have you, do you know any good shipwrights that could manage the ships for us? Like you're already doing enough with the docks, and now you've got the council as well. Like we don't want to put anything more on your plate, right?
Correct.
And so Earth thinks for a second, and he says, he says he knew several, um, um, several shipwrights in Summertide. He said, but he would never want to work with any of them anymore. He says there's a guild of pirates, in one of the lower trade cities. Let's look at what that name is. And in Briar Creek. There's a guild of a guild of pirates, good honorable pirates, he says, that you may have some luck going to them and finding your ship right there. He says that would be, and they also would have access to buying boats as well.
Maybe Yellowbeard has some connection to them, being an ex-pirate and all.
So we go to Yellowbeard.
Yeah, see what he can tell us about them.
So you guys go to Yellowbeard, ask him, say, hey, he says, hello guys, how can I help you? What do you need?
Hello, Mayor. We're looking for a shipwright, and someone recommended us a group of pirates from what zone? What city was that?
Briar Creek.
Briar Creek. And we were just curious if you knew anything about them.
He sort of grimaces a little bit, and he says, Captain, the leader of the guild, Captain Ramesses, is probably where I would start. He says, I personally don't have the greatest relationship with the guild, so it's best you probably keep my name out of it.
That's not going to work if you're the mayor, because we want someone to set up shop in the town. So that's not going to work. We need to find someone else. Then. Do you have any recommendations?
He says, no, I don't. He says, I don't mean in the sense like they won't work with us, and it's not that I have. He says, how do I put this nicely? We had a deal that we disagreed on on how much money was required on my part, and I may or may not have incorporated part of the goods of the journey into my cost unwillingly. Well, unwillingly on their part.
How much do you owe them?
He says, somewhere in the nature of, like 5,000 gold pieces. And he's like, and it's not, it's not an amount that's most, it's not the money in my case. It's more the part that one of, the captain before Ramses and I had negotiated on one price, and then when the job was done, then he changed the amount that he was going to pay me. And so it's not a matter of the money, it was a matter of principle for me.
Understood.
He says, but at the time, Captain Ramses was First Mate Ramses. So I haven't had any dealings personal with him, but I know that there probably is still a black mark on their ledger against me.
Well, in case that doesn't pan out, do you have any other recommendations? Do you know anyone else?
He says, any of the towns that are along the coast will have good shipwrights. He says outside of Briar Creek, you look for someone in Silksoot. He says, I do worry there. I mean, it's called the City of Thieves for a reason. So, how much you want to trust them is kind of up to your own. Then there's Summertide, which, given Er's previous encounters with the city, I wouldn't necessarily recommend there either. He said,
Ur did not recommend any of them. So
he said, so then your last option would be like a a Lycian, Lucian ship captain. He said, so that would be something you'd have to ask them themselves. And as you know, people like us are very restricted from the city.
Yes.
I don't know anything about solutions.
Those are so that's Faye. Lucia is Fiona's city.
Oh,
state.
I mean, she likes us. She likes us. That might be our best option. We're good with the Lucians. We're in good with Fiona. I don't know if we're in good with her people.
He says that may be your best approach then. If you're in good with her, then she has obviously the most amount of pull in the city. He's like, she might be the best person to contact with, and honestly, they have the best ships. They're just rather stingy about outsourcing their labor to others, non-were creatures.
Oh. That might make it hard to get one to set up permanently set up shop here too. That's honestly what we're looking for. We're looking to have like a permanent shipwright who will set up shop in the city.
He says, if I wasn't doing my own, plenty of my own businesses, I'd just do it myself for you. And in a temporary term, I could do it myself. But adding that workload to my already currently growing workload, he says, probably would not be wise.
Yeah, I agree. So, in that case, we'll talk to Fiona if we have to. We'll start with the pirates, see what they have to say, and then go from there. Like I said, though, we need someone to set up shop like permanently. We don't want someone who's here just, I'm going to show up and build some boats and fuck off. We need someone who wants to like open a business here, essentially.
He says, well, and like I said, despite my previous encounters with the pirate code, they're probably going to be one of your better bets, he says, because a lot of them are, business minded, and being able to essentially expand their influence would probably help them as well.
Makes sense. All right then.
So
sounds like we have our first.
Yep.
Our first stop.
So this is a good place to be. Talking to the pirate code is going to be a little timely, so I definitely don't think we have time today to run through that quick. Next week we'll pick up with them and obviously the slavers in Summertide.
Sounds good.
Cool.
If you guys need anything else, let me know. Otherwise, good as always to hear from you all.
I'm good. I will see you next week.
All right, stay safe, guys.
You too.
Bye.
See you next week.